I felt very lucky when I first went out to Los Angeles because this film Logan's Run came up very early on, and I was screen tested.
When Logan's Run exploded onto screens in 1976, audiences were mesmerized. The film promised a glittering future, neon skylines, breathtaking effects, and a daring story that asked what would happen if youth wasn't celebrated, but required. It looked like the ultimate sci-fi dream, a utopia where pleasure ruled and age was the only crime. But while the world watched in awe, one of its stars, Jenny Agutter, was quietly living through a personal nightmare that no one saw behind the camera. Her futuristic costume, designed to represent liberation and modern beauty, became one of the most humiliating experiences of her career. The outfit, little more than 2 slivers of fabric joined by a fragile chain, slipped constantly, exposing her at the worst moments. What was meant to embody sophistication and sensuality ended up betraying her, turning each day on set into a battle to stay covered. Agutter later admitted she despised that costume, calling it fairly embarrassing. It wasn't the nudity that bothered her, it was the feeling of being reduced to decoration. Here was a woman with an Emmy, a BAFTA, and a decade of respected performances behind her, suddenly treated like a prop in her own film. But the irony is that Logan's Run itself was a critique of exactly that kind of society. A world obsessed with appearance, indulgence, and staying young forever. The film's futuristic vision mirrored the cultural anxieties of the 1970s, the fear of aging, the rise of consumerism, and the loss of individuality in a world obsessed with perfection. And while Jenny wrestled with wardrobe malfunctions and self-consciousness, the rest of the cast faced their own challenges. Michael York almost turned down the role of Logan 5 entirely, convinced the story was too far-fetched, until a young driver convinced him otherwise. Farrah Fawcett, cast as the alluring Holly, found herself in a real-life on-set clash with Agutter during a catfight scene that went far beyond the script. What was supposed to be a bit of cinematic chaos spiraled into a genuine scuffle so intense that director Michael Anderson had to call cut before it turned dangerous. Even behind all the futuristic magic, Logan's Run was fueled by tension, exhaustion, and creative risk. MGM poured millions into building a believable 23rd century from scratch. Massive domed cities, moving walkways, holograms, and the chilling carousel sequence where citizens willingly stepped to their deaths, thinking they were being renewed. Every prop, every set, every shimmering costume pushed the limits of what filmmaking technology could do in the mid-70s. The studio gambled everything on this vision of the future. And somehow, it worked. The movie won a Special Academy Award for Visual Effects, 6 Saturn Awards, and became a cult legend that would later influence films like The Island, The Hunger Games, and even Blade Runner. But for Jenny Agutter, Logan's Run was always more complicated than that. It was her breakout Hollywood role, one that cemented her image in pop culture, but also one that left her deeply uncomfortable. She later reflected that while audiences saw Jessica 6 as a symbol of freedom and rebellion, she herself felt trapped by what she was asked to wear and how she was asked to look. That single chain, holding her costume together, came to represent everything fragile about women's power in Hollywood at the time. Glamour on the surface, restriction underneath. And yet, through all the frustration, Agutter's performance still shines. She gave Jessica humanity, compassion, and courage in a world built on vanity and fear. Without her, Logan's Run might have just been another flashy sci-fi flick. With her, it became something haunting and emotional, a story about breaking free not just from the system, but from what that system tells you to be. So the next time you rewatch Logan's Run, take a closer look at Jenny Agutter's Jessica 6. Behind that graceful presence and futuristic fashion was a woman fighting to maintain her dignity while helping create one of the most iconic films of its time. What the world saw as beauty was for her a daily struggle. Have you seen Logan's run? What do you think of Jenny Agutter's experience behind the scenes? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you love uncovering the truth behind Hollywood's most unforgettable moments, make sure to like, subscribe, and keep watching the Backstage Eyes, where the real stories never stay hidden for long.